From the moment we meet Vecna in the first episode of Season 4, we know he's not your regular Stranger Things villain from the Upside Down. He is a lot stronger, and unlike the rest of the Mind Flayer soldiers, he can actually talk. Although he is connected to the Mind Flayer, he also has a mind of his own. We spent the first volume of Season 4 trying to figure out who this powerful bone-twisting monster was, and in the last minutes of Volume 1, we finally got the answer. In this video, we will be explaining everything you need to know about Vecna, from his origin to why he does what he does, to his powers and his weaknesses. By the end of this video, you'll probably know Vecna a little more than you want to. Let's start off by talking about his origin. Before he was Vecna, he was a nice, slightly creepy looking guard in the Hawkins facility. And before he was a guard, he was number 1. And long before he was number 1, he was Henry Creel, the son of Victor Creel. Nancy and Robin visit Victor Creel at the psychiatric institution, and he tells them the story of how the devil murdered his family in the 1950s. But as we find out in this episode, it wasn't the devil, it was his son. The final episode of Volume 1 came with more reveals than anyone was expecting. So let's start at the beginning of Vecna's story. When Henry Creel was a kid in the 1950s, he felt he was different. He felt there was something wrong with him. And it didn't help that his teachers and doctors told his parents he was broken. His father moved him and his family to Hawkins to give them all, but particularly Henry, a second chance. A chance to fit in with the rest of the kids and be normal. Victor believed that a change of scenery would help Henry, even though he didn't understand what was wrong with him. He felt his son was simply a sensitive kid, but he had no idea it was a lot more than that. And Henry? Well, Henry thought the move was pointless. His personality and beliefs were not going to change simply because he was in a different place. At first, he was reluctant, but then he connected with the Black Widow spiders he found in the bathroom of his new home, believing that they were similar creatures to him. Like the monster he would later become, Black Widow spiders attack weaker beings. He believed that humans were pests and resented the constraining structures that had been put in place by humans. He wanted to restore order to what he felt was a broken world, governed by the restraints of time, so he developed his powers. He dreamed of becoming a permanent predator that would put an end to the mundane life cycles that humans were destined to repeat. The origin of his powers is not explained. It's possible his desire to be different helped him change himself, or maybe his powers had always been within him, lying dormant and waiting to be activated. Henry practiced on animals at first, which was what caused the dead animals that Victor mentioned in episode 4. He got into the minds of different animals and slaughtered them. And then he realized that he could connect with people's minds and exploit their feelings of guilt. He used his powers to haunt his father with memories of the shelling he ordered on an innocent house while he was at war. He also haunted his mom with spiders and gave his younger sister nightmares. Victor believed that the house was cursed. He believed that the devil was haunting his family. But somehow, his wife figured out that it was their son who was causing all the strange occurrences in their house. She planned to send Henry away, but he found out about her plans and killed her. He also killed his sister, but he accidentally sent himself into a coma because he didn't realize the full extent of his powers. He framed his father for the murders, but what he didn't expect was that he would find himself in a prison of his own. He was in the custody of Dr. Martin Brenner, the same doctor his mom wanted to send him to. So in trying to escape, he had imprisoned himself. And this is what led him to become number 1. A week after his father was arrested, Dr. Brenner faked Henry's death and turned him into a lab rat. The very first lab rat in the Hawkins facility. Number 1 was resistant to Brenner's training. He knew he was born to do more than just take orders from Dr. Brenner. And when Brenner realized that he could not contain or control Henry, he placed a device in his neck that prevented him from using his powers. This device remained in his neck for most of his life until Eleven finally took it out. After his powers were muted, Brenner turned him into a Hawkins facility guard. Brenner cloned Henry's powers and tried to create a version of him that he could control, leading to the birth of 11 and all the other kids in the lab. Each clone was a try to create the perfect soldier that would blindly follow Brenner's commands. With the device in his neck, Henry lost his ability to use his powers and was forced to work as a guard in the Hawkins facility. He had to take care of and watch over the clones that were made from him, so in a weird way, they were all his kids. He befriends 11 and teaches her to use her powers, which she ultimately uses to remove the device from his neck. Number 1 shows Eleven a way to use her powers by channeling memories that made her both sad and angry. Maybe the memory of the Krill household murders is what he uses to channel and control his powers. In this memory, he would feel anger towards his parents, particularly his mother, but also feel sad that he killed his sister as well. What do you guys think is the memory he uses to control his powers? Drop a comment and let us know. And once the device is out, Number 1 slaughters everyone in the Hawkins facility except Eleven. He tried to convince her to join him, but she refused. You could tell by the look on Eleven's face that at that moment she thought he was a madman and was deeply regretting taking the device out of his neck. Because of this, Number 1 decides to kill Eleven because she rejected his offer. But she defeats him and sends him into the Upside Down. As Number 1 falls into the Upside Down, his skin is burnt off by lightning, and this transforms him into Vecna. This scene is chilling and intense because we not only see how Number 1 becomes Vecna, we also see the full extent of Eleven's powers as she is able to open a door to the Upside Down even as a child. As Vecna, he has claimed 3 victims so far: cheerleader Chrissy Cunningham, student reporter Fred Benson, and basketball player Patrick McKinney. It is also possible that there are other deaths that we don't know about. Vecna lives in the attic of the Creel household in the Upside Down, which was where he spent most of his time when he was still Henry Creel. The attic clearly holds some sort of emotional meaning to him. Vecna is the most powerful villain the Stranger Things kids have ever faced. He can attack his victims from the Upside Down using the tentacles in the attic of the Creel household. Unlike previous monsters from the Upside Down, he doesn't need to pass through the gate before he claims a victim. He also creates a portal on the site of every attack. His powers allow him to reach into the minds of his victims, exploit their traumatic memories, and use those memories to taunt them before finally killing them. And with each kill, Vecna becomes more and more powerful. And because he is connected to the Upside Down, he is also connected to the vines and creatures within the Upside Down, allowing him to control them. We will likely see Vecna's full potential when Eleven faces off against him in the final battle. Vecna claims victims from the attic of the Creel household. It seems that the house, and more specifically the attic, are a weak point for him. From previous seasons, we know that creatures from the Upside Down are scared of fire, so it would be right to assume that Vecna also has this weakness. Another of Vecna's weaknesses is that his victims can escape him if they are listening to music while he's trying to kill them. Playing music opens up a portal back to the real world, allowing his victims to escape the trance-like state that he puts them in. We see this happen with Max, and Victor describes it as the voice of an angel.